What if the most disturbing video ever uploaded to the internet just vanished? No warning. No explanation. No digital footprint that you could trace with certainty. Just a flood of rumors, haunted memories from viewers who say they saw it, and the quiet silence that remains when a piece of content is not only banned, but seemingly erased from existence. This is the dark world of lost internet media. Videos that appeared online briefly, terrified the people who found them, then disappeared without a trace. These aren't just forgotten uploads or glitched files. These are videos that struck such a raw nerve, platforms either removed them, or users convinced themselves they were never supposed to be seen. And the one video we're diving into today. It may be the most unsettling of them all. Some called it cursed. Others said it was psychological warfare disguised as art. But almost everyone agrees, something about it felt too real to be fiction. And then, it was gone. But before we get there, we need to look at the bigger picture. Because the internet has always been haunted by strange and creepy content. From the eerily unsettling footage of Obey the Walrus, to the masked horror of Blank Room Soup, these viral anomalies carved out their own legends in digital folklore. They've been analyzed, dissected, debated. But none of them simply disappeared the way the infamous Video X did. What could a video possibly contain that's so terrifying, so deeply disturbing, that even the lawless corners of the internet couldn't hold on to it? Was it banned by platforms like YouTube and Reddit for violating community guidelines? Or was it part of a deeper pattern, where fiction, fear, and forbidden knowledge all blur together in ways no one can fully explain? Today, we explore the internet's creepiest video ever deleted, and why some people believe it was never meant to be seen in the first place. The culture of lost internet videos. Long before social media turned viral content into a daily ritual, there existed a darker, stranger undercurrent flowing through the digital world. A current that didn't thrive on polished thumbnails or monetized content, but on curiosity, fear, and the promise of something you weren't supposed to see. This is where the phenomenon of lost internet videos was born. Lost media, in the traditional sense, refers to films, TV episodes, or recordings that have been erased, destroyed, or forgotten over time. But online, the term takes on an entirely new dimension. On platforms like YouTube, 4chan, Reddit, and LiveLeak, the concept of lost media evolves into something more chilling. Content that was available, was seen, and was experienced, only to be ripped offline and scrubbed from existence, often without a trace. Not because of time or neglect, but because of something more deliberate. Something more unsettling. Many of these so-called lost videos weren't innocent. They were disturbing. Videos that left viewers disturbed long after watching. Grainy, low-resolution footage of shadowy figures, cryptic messages, or unsettling performances. Sometimes, the creators were never identified. Other times, their identities only deepened the mystery. These weren't just deleted YouTube videos, they became part of the internet's underground horror lexicon. Cursed uploads. Video creepypasta. Digital urban legends. The history of these deletions is as murky as the content itself. Some were pulled for violating content policies, graphic violence, implied abuse, disturbing imagery. Others were reportedly deleted after mass backlash, triggering moral panic among users. In a few cases, the removal was so rapid, and so complete, that many began to question if the video had ever existed at all. What makes these videos so compelling, even years later, is not just what they showed, but that you can't watch them anymore. That's the hook. The idea that it was too real for the internet to keep. Psychologists refer to this as the forbidden fascination effect. It's why we're drawn to content that's been banned or buried. Not just because we want to know, but because we weren't supposed to. When a video disappears from a platform like YouTube or LiveLeak, users don't forget. They speculate. They search. They obsess. Entire threads on Reddit's R, lost media or deep dives on 4chan archive boards try to piece together clues. Sometimes, it's just a collective memory. Sometimes, it's a copy saved to a hard drive in a forgotten corner of the web. And sometimes, it's gone forever, leaving only screenshots, vague descriptions, or emotionally scarred viewers to testify to what they saw. The term, banned for a reason, has become a kind of mantra in these circles. Not just a warning, but a badge of authenticity. If a video was taken down, it must have crossed a line. Maybe it triggered something. Maybe it showed something that wasn't supposed to be public. Or maybe, just maybe, it hit a nerve deeper than any algorithm could measure. In a digital world where almost everything is recoverable, the fact that some videos are truly lost, banned, deleted, forgotten, gives them a ghostly weight. And as we'll see in the next chapters, a few of these videos didn't just disappear, they left behind a trail of questions darker than any answer. Obey the Walrus, the viral fear that wouldn't die. In the early 2000s, when internet culture was still largely unfiltered and the edges of online content had yet to be rounded off by corporate moderation, a peculiar and unsettling video emerged. It wasn't flashy. It didn't use jump scares. But it left an impression so disturbing that it was quickly dubbed one of the internet's creepiest videos ever. It became known as Obey the Walrus. The video didn't follow a traditional narrative. It began with eerie, choppy music and glitchy visuals, then cut to footage of a person slowly walking toward the camera, their movements stiff and unnerving. The figure was dressed in a ballerina outfit, and their distorted body movements, along with the jarring sound design, created an atmosphere that was almost impossible to explain. Viewers who clicked play out of curiosity often clicked away shaken, and many reported feeling physically uneasy, even nauseous. There were claims of nightmares, anxiety, even paranoia following a viewing. And then, the rumors began. Theories circulated online, particularly through 4chan and early YouTube forums, that the video was cursed. Some users claimed they had received strange messages or emails after watching it. Others said their devices glitched or that they heard strange sounds late at night. None of this was ever proven, but that didn't matter. The psychological impact had already taken root. Whether real or imagined, the sense of dread it created felt too personal to ignore. As the video gained notoriety, viewers began dissecting its origins. What they found only deepened the intrigue. The central figure in the video was revealed to be a performer named Sandy Crisp, also known as the Goddess Bunny. She was a transgender woman and polio survivor who had long worked in underground performance art. The footage of her walking and dancing wasn't meant to terrify, it was originally part of a documentary on resilience and identity. But in Obey the Walrus, it was repurposed, distorted, and layered with ominous music and editing to transform it into something horrifying. This revelation complicated the narrative. What had initially been assumed to be something sinister turned out to be exploitative in a different way. The horror didn't lie in the person on screen, but in the manipulation of their image. That discomfort lingered with audiences, and perhaps that's why the video haunted people more deeply than any fictional monster ever could. Despite the growing conversation around the video's origins, many still believed it had been removed or banned. In fact, several uploads were taken down from YouTube, not necessarily because of violence or graphic content, but due to concerns around exploitation and viewer complaints. Yet the myth of its deletion only strengthened the video's reputation. Many assumed it was scrubbed from the internet entirely, fueling its status as forbidden content. But it never truly disappeared, it only went deeper underground. As people continued to share and re-upload fragments of the clip, forums lit up with conflicting emotions. Some called it a brilliant critique of perception. Others condemned it as unethical. But nearly everyone agreed on one thing: Obey the Walrus left a mark. It disturbed not just because of what was on screen, but because it revealed how easily our minds could be manipulated. How discomfort, when stripped of context, could become horror. And how quickly the internet can turn someone's identity into a meme of fear. What made the video even more chilling wasn't its content, it was the ambiguity. No jump scare. No gore. Just something that felt wrong in a way you couldn't shake. It was a viral mystery that didn't need blood to get under your skin. The case of Obey the Walrus shows us something critical about the culture of lost videos. It didn't need to vanish to become legend. Sometimes, the fear itself keeps a video alive, buried in memory, revived in whispers, and passed around as a warning. And for a generation of users, it remains their first encounter with the terrifying side of internet media. Not because it showed something real, but because it made them feel something real, without ever knowing why. Blank Room Soup, the horror of ambiguity. In the endless archive of unsettling internet videos, there's one that seems to linger in people's minds long after the screen goes dark. It's not the blood, the screams, or anything overtly graphic that gives it power. It's the silence. The subtlety. The discomfort that crawls beneath your skin and stays there. That video is Blank Room Soup. At first glance, the scene is deceptively simple. A man sits at a table in a sterile, windowless room, hunched over a bowl of soup. He's crying. Not just sniffling, not just emotional, but sobbing. Loud, heaving sobs that fill the room with a sense of helplessness. As he eats from the bowl, two costumed figures appear. They're dressed in large, cartoonish mascot suits. White faces, dark hollow eyes, and exaggerated grins. At first, they only stand and watch. Then, slowly, they begin to touch the man, gently patting his shoulders, seemingly trying to comfort him. The man doesn't resist. He continues to cry, continues to eat, and the mascots continue their eerie presence. That's it. No context. No explanation. Just a video labeled Blank Room Soup. Avi. The video exploded on forums like 4chan and Reddit in the early 2010s, eventually making its way to YouTube, where it was uploaded and taken down multiple times. Theories about its origin ignited instantly. Some claimed it was a leaked clip from the dark web, showing a real victim being psychologically tormented. Others believed it was part of a larger series of disturbing videos, maybe even involving a cult or underground experiment. One of the most persistent theories was that the man had stolen something, and this video was his punishment, filmed and distributed as a warning to others. But none of these theories came with proof. What made Blank Room Soup so powerful was that it resisted explanation. There was no backstory to debunk, no clear narrative to follow. Every detail, from the sterile setting to the uncanny body language of the mascots, was designed, or perhaps just happened, to amplify discomfort. Eventually, internet sleuths traced the mascots back to a performance artist known as Ray Ray, a creator who had used these characters in previous art pieces. When confronted, Ray Ray admitted that the characters were his design but refused to confirm whether he had anything to do with the Blank Room Soup video. He neither claimed responsibility nor distanced himself. Instead, he offered only vague, cryptic remarks, further deepening the mystery. This refusal to clarify only fueled speculation. Was it staged? A form of viral performance art? Or was Ray Ray trying to avoid legal consequences for something far more sinister? The lack of closure turned Blank Room Soup from a creepy video into a digital legend. The footage was re-uploaded countless times, discussed in forums, featured in YouTube deep dives, and treated as a case study in internet horror. Its cult status was cemented not just by its content but by the community that grew around trying to understand it. There were frame-by-frame breakdowns, psychological dissections, and even attempts to identify the man in the video. But nothing ever stuck. Nothing was ever confirmed. The man remained anonymous. The mascots never reappeared in any official capacity. And Ray maintained his silence. What made this video terrifying wasn't what it showed, but what it didn't. There were no answers, no context, no clear act of violence. But that very absence became its weapon. It exploited a uniquely modern fear, the fear of ambiguity. Of something being almost real, almost explainable, but never fully grasped. From a psychological standpoint, this taps into a phenomenon known as the uncanny valley. When something appears almost human, but not quite, it creates a cognitive dissonance that unsettles us. The same principle applies to content. When a video looks almost fictional, but contains just enough realism, like raw emotion or subtle cues of distress, it short-circuits our ability to categorize it. Is this performance art? Or is it a cry for help? This uncertainty drives obsession. And in the case of Blank Room Soup, the lack of resolution became part of the horror itself. Viewers projected their own fears onto the video. They filled in the blanks with whatever terrified them most. And because the video never broke the illusion, it remained timeless. A perfect piece of viral fear. Despite never being officially banned, Blank Room Soup was removed from YouTube multiple times. Sometimes due to policy violations, sometimes because users reported it as abusive or disturbing. But it always returned, shared from hard drives, mirrored on other sites, or repackaged in reaction videos. It became one of those pieces of internet media that refuses to die, not because people want to watch it, but because they can't stop thinking about it. In the broader context of lost and disturbing online videos, Blank Room Soup represents the fear of not knowing. Of seeing something that feels real, but lacks a name, a source, a reason. It's a reminder that sometimes the scariest content isn't the one filled with screams and gore, but the one that whispers quietly, while we try to make sense of it. Video X, the vanishing footage that sparked a digital nightmare long before YouTube was the polished platform it is today, before content creators built careers and brands around algorithms, the site was something more raw. More lawless. And in those early, experimental days, in the shadows of LiveLeak, Metacafe, and the rising video forums of the mid-2000s, there was a video that emerged, quietly, and then just as suddenly vanished. To this day, it remains one of the most whispered about lost videos in internet history. No official name, no creator, just a placeholder passed down through posts and screenshots. People called it Video X. Allegedly uploaded in 2005, Video X didn't go viral in the traditional sense. It wasn't shared widely. It didn't get millions of views. But for those who did stumble across it, the experience left them rattled. According to early users who claimed to have seen the video on an obscure YouTube clone or possibly an early LiveLeak mirror, the footage began with nothing more than a black screen. For nearly 30 seconds, there was silence. Then came a faint crackling, like an old VHS tape struggling to stabilize. When the picture emerged, it revealed a dimly lit room. Abandoned, decrepit, with peeling wallpaper and a collapsed ceiling. The camera moved slowly, methodically, as if operated by hand. It didn't feel staged. It felt real. As the lens panned across the rotting space, there were no sudden cuts, no music, no jump scares. Only the growing sense that someone, or something, was just out of frame. Then, the audio shifted. A low whisper, unintelligible at first, crackled into the left channel. The voice, spoken in what some later identified as a dialect of Russian or possibly Armenian, repeated a single phrase over and over. The tone was monotone, but there was something inhuman about it. Some said it was layered, as if the voice had been digitally processed to distort its cadence, bending it out of natural rhythm. When translated, the whisper reportedly meant, "You should not have found this." That's where the footage ended. No jump scare. No climax. Just an abrupt static screen, followed by a half-second flash of a number, too blurry for most to read. And then it was gone. In the days that followed its brief appearance, rumors began to spread on old video forums and obscure boards on 4chan and Something Awful. Some users reported that they had received strange calls within hours of watching the video. The calls were never from the same number, and when answered, offered only dead silence, or worse, a whisper that echoed what the video had said. You should not have found this. There were no follow-ups, no threats, just silence and presence, which, in many ways, made it even more terrifying. Skeptics called it a hoax. A clever bit of viral horror meant to simulate a digital curse. But the video itself was never archived. It was removed within days, possibly even hours, of being uploaded. Some blamed platform violations. Others speculated that it was flagged en masse by users who genuinely believed they had seen something dangerous. A few believed something more insidious was behind its disappearance. One of the more enduring theories is that Video X was part of a classified psychological experiment, a kind of digital psyop created to monitor viewer reactions to ambient fear and subliminal stimuli. In this theory, the video was never meant to be widely seen. It was a leak. A test that slipped into the public feed, only to be immediately shut down. Others argue that it was a piece of what they call soft red room content, not violent in the physical sense, but designed to create emotional distress or mental confusion, possibly testing reactions to cryptic stimuli. Then there's the snuff film theory. While no violence is shown, some believe the video was part of a larger series, with other unreleased segments depicting darker content. This theory leans on the idea that the whispering voice wasn't a warning, but a confession. A marker left behind by someone forced to record, or perhaps someone trying to expose what they couldn't explain. This theory gained traction after a handful of Reddit posts, dating back to 2008, claimed to have seen additional frames from Video X that never surfaced online. The posters spoke of symbols carved into the walls, objects moving slightly between frames, or faces briefly appearing in the shadows. But none of these images were ever confirmed. Screenshots were blurry. Links were broken. And as the forums aged, most of the evidence disappeared with them. A more modern interpretation suggests the video was one of the earliest examples of AI-generated content used for psychological manipulation. At the time, artificial intelligence tools were limited. But some theorists point to the unnatural pacing of the camera, the layered whisper, and the ambient tension as indicators that the video was constructed, not filmed. If this is true, Video X would predate deepfake technology by years, raising unsettling questions about who had access to such tools, and why they would use them to generate something so specifically unnerving. Despite the obsessive effort to locate it, no confirmed re-upload of Video X has ever surfaced. Only fragments exist. Screenshots of threads from 2006 and 2007, mentions on obscure video logging sites, and cryptic comments left on unrelated YouTube videos, as if the algorithm, somehow, still remembers. A handful of Reddit threads have tried to reconstruct the footage based on user recollection, piecing together descriptions, timestamps, and translated whispers. Some even claim to have stored copies on external drives, but when pressed, they go silent, or vanish from the conversation entirely. So why was Video X deleted? The most plausible explanation is that it triggered enough reports to violate platform policies on disturbing content. But that doesn't explain the calls. Or the whispers. Or the fact that nobody, not one person, has ever come forward to take credit for it, in a time when internet fame is often the main goal of horror content. The silence around the video is what keeps the fear alive. The sense that it wasn't removed because it broke the rules, but because it revealed something we weren't supposed to see. Whether it was an elaborate hoax, an early test of AI-generated fear, or something even more sinister, Video X remains one of the internet's most enduring mysteries. A ghost video, burned into the memory of those who saw it, and into the imagination of those who didn't. Lost media, in the purest sense. Not just gone, but wiped from history in a way that only fuels obsession. And maybe that's the most frightening part. Because in the age of digital permanence, true disappearance feels unnatural. Wrong. Like a scar that fades too quickly. Like a warning you almost remember. Like a whisper, still echoing through the static. When fear becomes real, the psychological fallout of internet horror. The internet was never designed to handle fear. Not the manufactured kind seen in movies, but the raw, unpredictable terror that seeps in when something crosses the line between entertainment and emotional harm. As disturbing videos like Obey the Walrus, Blank Room Soup, and the mysterious Video X spread across platforms, something more than curiosity began to emerge. Fear turned physical. And in some cases, it turned dangerous. Reported cases of viewers experiencing real psychological distress after watching disturbing online videos are surprisingly common. In a 2015 survey conducted by MediaPsych, over 38% of respondents between ages 16 and 30 reported experiencing nightmares or lingering anxiety after watching content classified as unsettling or cursed. These weren't horror movie trailers or slasher scenes, they were videos labeled found footage, deleted YouTube videos, or lost media. The ambiguity of the content made it worse. Viewers couldn't rationalize what they had seen, and that lack of closure made the emotional impact even deeper. In multiple documented cases, viewers went further than anxiety. There are reports of individuals contacting emergency services after watching disturbing internet footage they believed depicted real harm. In 2012, a teenager in Oregon called the police after watching what he described as a cry for help hidden inside a seemingly normal vlog. The video was later proven to be an experimental art piece. But to the viewer, the distress was so convincing that he believed someone's life was at risk. In another instance, a college student in Singapore was hospitalized after claiming a cursed video caused her to hear voices and develop insomnia. No medical cause was ever identified. What these reactions reveal is more than internet panic, it's the real-world consequence of the digital unknown. When viewers cannot distinguish between fiction and reality, the psychological impact can mirror trauma. This aligns with research conducted by social psychologist Philip Zimbardo, who examined how exposure to ambiguous or ethically gray stimuli can desensitize or disturb individuals depending on their emotional state. Zimbardo's theory suggests that the more uncertain the context, the more power it holds over the viewer's mind. Digital horror, especially the kind that disguises itself as lost or deleted media, bypasses the usual filters. Unlike horror movies that announce their intent, these videos sneak past your defenses. They don't ask for your permission to be disturbing, they simply exist. And once seen, they can't be unseen. This leads to an uncomfortable debate: should fictional content that causes psychological harm be censored? Some argue that videos like Blank Room Soup or alleged footage like Video X should be removed, not because they break the rules, but because they leave viewers emotionally damaged. Others claim that artistic freedom must include the right to disturb, that censorship based on fear is a dangerous precedent. Platforms have struggled to find a balance. YouTube, for instance, has implemented increasingly strict community guidelines around violent or disturbing content. Videos that depict real harm, promote conspiracy theories, or exploit viewers' emotions are often flagged or removed. But the system isn't perfect. Moderation tools are still learning nuance, and some videos slip through the cracks, while others are wrongly demonetized or banned for being merely unsettling. Reddit relies heavily on community self-policing, but entire subreddits devoted to disturbing media have been banned in waves, often after news coverage or controversy. TikTok, despite its younger user base, has also struggled with moderating creepy content that spreads under hashtags meant to evade detection. The challenge isn't just the content itself, but how it's framed. A video that's technically allowed, no blood, no graphic violence, can still manipulate viewers by exploiting fear, ambiguity, and suggestion. And once a video is labeled as banned or too scary for YouTube, its mythology grows, making it more enticing. This creates a feedback loop where fear becomes viral currency. In the age of digital storytelling, horror doesn't need special effects or monster costumes. It needs mystery. Uncertainty. The illusion that what you're watching might be real. And that illusion, when it hits the wrong viewer at the wrong time, can lead to real-world consequences. As platforms continue to evolve and content creators push boundaries, the line between disturbing and dangerous will keep shifting. But one thing remains certain. The psychological impact of internet horror, especially the kind hidden in lost media or deleted videos, is no longer just an online experience. It's deeply human, deeply emotional, and in some cases, deeply traumatic. And that makes it more powerful than anyone expected. Digital urban legends, where memory rewrites the internet. In the vast, ever-expanding library of online content, not every terrifying video has to be real to be unforgettable. The internet has a strange talent for mythologizing the unknown, turning rumors into history and speculation into legend. A story told enough times, reshaped through threads, comments, and distorted recollections, can become just as powerful as something real. Sometimes, even more so. This is where digital urban legends are born, through the blurry space between what was seen, what was imagined, and what never existed in the first place. Platforms like Reddit, 4chan, and YouTube have become breeding grounds for this kind of folklore, where horror isn't delivered by the content itself, but by the way people talk about it. This process has been amplified by a phenomenon many users have experienced firsthand, the Mandela effect. The Mandela effect describes the eerie feeling of remembering something a certain way, only to find out it never happened, or didn't happen quite the way you recall. It's been applied to everything from logos and movie lines to supposed missing episodes and videos. In the horror space, this effect creates false memories of content people swear they saw but can no longer prove. Maybe it was a video removed before it went viral. Maybe it was something buried in a creepypasta post. Or maybe it never existed at all. Some of the most iconic examples of this include so-called cursed videos like Smile Dog, Mariana Mordegard Glesgorth, and Sad Satan. Smile Dog, allegedly an image of a grinning creature that induces madness in those who see it, is often discussed as a real video that causes harm. Mariana Mordegard Glesgorth was said to be a YouTube video of a man staring at the viewer before suddenly disappearing, with rumors that those who watched the full version would claw out their own eyes. And Sad Satan, a game rather than a video, was documented in a series of videos showing corrupted images, cryptic messages, and ambient dread. While some fragments exist, the true full version was either lost, or never real to begin with. These stories persist because they fill in the blanks with fear. When something is removed or unexplained, the mind tries to make sense of the void. That process often invents meaning where there is none. A glitched video becomes a warning. A blurry screenshot becomes evidence. A deleted post becomes a conspiracy. It's not that people are lying. It's that our minds are wired to complete the story, especially when that story stirs something primal. The rise of creepypasta culture only fed this phenomenon. Stories designed to mimic real experiences were passed around as digital campfire tales. The line between fiction and reality dissolved intentionally. And as these stories were told and retold, some gained reputations as real lost videos, even when no file, no URL, and no original post ever existed. But the fear remained. And sometimes, that's all it takes. This blurring of fiction and reality isn't new, but the internet makes it faster, more immersive, and harder to trace. A user who posts a fictional horror story in 2007 can unknowingly ignite a legend that, by 2015, is being treated as an unsolved mystery. Even attempts to debunk the myth often backfire, making the video seem more forbidden, more hidden, and more believable. Digital urban legends like these tap into our curiosity and our fear of the unseen. They prey on the idea that something might be out there, buried, waiting to be discovered. Or worse, waiting to be remembered. This is why deleted content often becomes scarier after it's gone. It stops being a file and becomes a phantom. A memory. A puzzle that can't be solved. And for many, that's more terrifying than any actual video ever could be. Why was Video X really deleted? As the fragments of memory surrounding Video X continue to flicker across forums and chat archives, one question remains louder than all the others. Why was it deleted? Not just taken down for violating platform policy, but seemingly erased from the internet's memory. The video didn't leave behind a proper digital footprint. No metadata. No full re-uploads. Just echoes. That absence has given rise to theories, some plausible, some unnerving, and some that question the very fabric of how we experience fear online. The first and most disturbing theory is that Video X captured something real. Not staged horror or performance art, but an actual event, a moment of violence, ritual, or criminal behavior caught on camera and accidentally uploaded. The tone of the video, with its slow camera work, cryptic whispers, and unfiltered environment, felt too grounded, too natural to be faked. If the footage did in fact depict something illegal, especially involving an unseen victim, its removal could have been immediate and absolute. Not just by platform moderators, but possibly by request or action from authorities. If that's true, then Video X isn't just lost media, it's evidence that vanished into a system that knew exactly what it was doing. A second theory suggests something even more calculated. That the video wasn't real in the traditional sense, but was created as a psychological weapon. Not a piece of horror fiction, but a digital trigger. It would fall into the category of experimental media designed to evoke extreme emotional responses, a kind of modern Rorschach test for fear. This aligns with ideas explored in early behavioral research, where controlled exposure to distressing content was used to study human limits. Could Video X have been a test case? If so, it may have been deleted not because of what it showed, but because it worked. Others believe the video was part of a social experiment. An attempt to explore how information spreads, how fear evolves, and how quickly fiction can be accepted as truth. The theory goes that Video X may have been the prototype for viral marketing, the ghost story told in just the right way to make it spread faster than any paid campaign. Its disappearance would be part of the design, not a failure. By removing the source, the story becomes bigger. The more people can't find it, the more they want to. That hunger turns speculation into belief, and belief into legend. But the most chilling theory of all is also the simplest. Maybe Video X never existed. Maybe it was never uploaded, never deleted, never whispered about in some dimly lit room. Maybe what we call Video X is a collective hallucination, born from overlapping memories, misunderstood references, and repeated retellings. This is where digital folklore thrives. A place where a single image, or a passing comment, can spiral into a full-blown mystery. It wouldn't be the first time. And it certainly won't be the last. So which version is the truth? Was Video X a real recording that captured something we were never meant to see? A psychological experiment built to unsettle? A carefully engineered piece of viral horror? Or simply a ghost story, born not of files and footage, but of suggestion and fear? The answer might not matter as much as the effect it has had. Because sometimes, the most terrifying thing isn't what was shown. It's what our minds create in the silence that follows. And maybe that's the true horror of Video X. Not that it existed, but that it might not have. And that, somehow, makes it even worse. The haunting that never left. Some videos fade because time forgets them. Others vanish because someone wanted them gone. But a rare few, like the mysterious and possibly fabricated Video X, linger not in our hard drives or browser histories, but in the spaces between memory and imagination. These are the stories that haunt the internet's subconscious, videos that feel like dreams we half remember, fragments of something dark that never truly goes away. The power of Video X, and so many others like it, doesn't come from blood or violence. It comes from uncertainty. The kind of fear that tightens not with what's seen, but with what's missing. The stillness. The static. The suggestion that there's more beneath the surface, and that what was taken down wasn't just content, it was a warning, a secret, or something far too real for digital daylight. And maybe that's why these videos grip us so tightly. When a horror movie ends, the lights come back on and the fear fades. But when a video disappears, and no one can prove what it showed, the fear only grows. We fill in the blanks with our worst thoughts. We project our personal anxieties into the silence. And before we realize it, we're not afraid of the video anymore, we're afraid of ourselves. So now we ask you, what's the creepiest video you remember seeing online, the one that stuck with you, the one you've never been able to find again? Was it something real, or something your memory made worse over time? Share it in the comments. Because your memory might be the missing piece of someone else's story. If this journey into digital darkness pulled you in, subscribe for more investigations into the strange, the forbidden, and the forgotten. Share this video if you remember any of the footage we explored, or if you think you've seen something we missed. And in the next episode, we'll uncover a chilling new frontier of online folklore, the creepiest Reddit thread ever banned. Because in the age of endless content,